Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. I am so excited for today's show. I just can't put it into words. I love Mad Magazine Presents Up the Academy, 1980 teen sex comedy movie about military school. And I am having Rodney Vervigart, the gas man himself, Harry Teinowitz, on today's episode, and I'm so fucking excited. I've been wanting to talk to this guy forever. To me, he stole that whole movie. He was the best thing about that whole movie. He's a very popular talk radio guy in Chicago now, and I'm having him on the show today to talk about all of that. He had a small part in Risky Business. He's done stand-up comedy, lots of things, and I just can't wait to have him on today. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. The third and final 420 show for today, and I hope all of you will be entertained. It's going to be spectacular, stupendous, and hopefully hilariously entertaining, and all that shit. So, here is my interview with Harry Teinowitz.
Yellow.
Hey, Harry, welcome to the show.
Tommy, thanks for having me. How the heck are you?
I am just spectacular. This is such a great honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
I think you had me confused with somebody else, but my pleasure.
No, I'm pretty sure it was you. But how you holding up in quarantine?
We're just fine. I have two kids. They're, made the same way, but they're completely well, actually, no. One, I think, was in the shower, but they're completely different. And, my daughter, who's a freshman at Michigan State, is up till like 3 in the morning, sleeping till noon. Mm-hmm. My son, who's in 8th grade, is, going to bed at like, 11, getting up like at, 8 in the morning. I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you're all safe. It's really good.
Yeah. We're hanging in there, and I don't get the protesters that are out there, complaining about social distancing. I think that seems to be working, and I always get uncomfortable when I talk about politics. But this is about saving lives, and I hope that those guys they right through the protest. I think those lives are great, but I hope they figure out it saves lives not to be so close to people right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, we're just going out with our masks and our rubber gloves, and we're good,
Oh, that's nice. By the way, my wife has been social distancing from me for the last 6 years. Do you have anything cool on your masks? Like, do you have Lakers masks or, covered masks or anything like that?
I just got, a couple hospital masks and rubber gloves. That's all we got.
There you go.
So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward performing early on in your childhood?
I did. I had a test due. We had to give a report on in 8th grade, and I forgot to do it. So I went up there with blank index cards and gave an entire report on my family history, and just made stuff up. Our dad was surprised to learn later that his side of the family came from Istanbul.
Nice. Did you do a lot of school plays and community theater?
Yeah, I did, school plays, and I went to New Trier, which is like this, high school that's like ridiculously weighted towards performing. The legacy of people that have come out of there, Anne Margaret, Bruce Dern, Charlton Heston,
right.
Rock Hudson. I went to high school with like Gina Madsen, Virginia Madsen, and Adam Baldwin.
Wow.
And there's a bunch of people. From The Office together with Dwight. Come on,
Steve Carell.
What's that?
Steve Carell? No.
Dwight. He's like the number 2 guy in charge. He's a New Trier kid. So there's been, that was like a theater department that was more important than school. You know, they'd say, "Oh, you sound like you have a cold. Why don't you take the day off and show up for rehearsal?" I go, "Okay, if you say so." And I went to Kansas freshman year, and our theater, had a top 10 theater department.
Right.
And I went there, and the budget for a show was like $1,900. And senior year in your career, our budget was, because they tax the area, and they have to give a percentage to the theater department. So our budget for a high school play, our high school musical, was $19,000.
Wow.
Right. They're flying in, costumes from Brooks Van Horn in New York, and the theater is like, gorgeous. It seats 1,600 people, and so I was always doing plays, and then I did, went to college and majored in theater, and left college after freshman year to be an actor in L.A., and without ever getting to L.A., I got a part in a movie, and I thought it was great. I sometimes wonder if I hadn't gotten that part, and I'd gone out to L.A., what might have happened, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. And that actor was Rainn Wilson.
Yes, Rainn Wilson. Thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Yes. Did you know the Cusacks?
On me.
Yeah. Did you know the Cusacks?
No, I've met John. I knew Amy, and I met John. I've never met Joan, but it's Amy, who's the older sister. I probably know her the best. And
you mean Anne?
Sorry, Anne.
Yeah.
Right. It shows you how well I know her. But she was in an acapella singing group. So back a long time ago, I was like, we were in the same circles. But John, I met one day in L.A. at a bar, and it's my only John experience. And I've never met in person Joan, but the kids, of course, have seen Toy Story 1,000 times.
Yeah, of course. So, how does Up the Academy come into your life?
Up the Academy, I lost the bet, so I had to do it now. Up the Academy, so theater department in New Trier, they brought this casting director, said I want to see 100 kids from New Trier. You guys have this great rep. We went and we auditioned for the movie The Omen. It was actually The Omen 2, I believe.
Yes.
And they called back 3 people. And one of my good friends, John Newcomb, not the tennis player, but another guy, John Newcomb,
yeah,
he got the lead, and he got the part, I should say, and I didn't get the part, but I signed up with the agent at that point, and she started sending me out on stuff, and a couple months later, I auditioned for Up the Academy, and I got it. There have been, and I thought because I could get a part in a movie in Chicago that, I don't need to go out to L.A., which in retrospect, it's, I would have had many more opportunities out in Los Angeles, but, I was looking for a reason to stay home. My family's here, my teams are here, 2 girls are here that would, occasionally let me touch them. Mm-hmm. So I stayed here, and I was close to a couple other parts of the movies, but, I was supposed to have a bigger part in Whiskey Business, and at the last second, Curtis Armstrong got a theater release, which I never heard of. Mm-hmm. But they called me up and said, "Hey, Curtis Armstrong got a theater release." That happened to me, and so he got the part I was going to get, and then I got a much smaller part. I had like 3 lines, and that got taken down to like 1 line. And I've I just wanted to do acting, but stand-up comedy started, and it was a way to make money without like having a real job. So I started doing stand-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to ask you about all that, but with Up the Academy though, so you auditioned for Robert Downey Sr.?
I auditioned for a guy named Tony Bill, I believe was his name.
Yeah.
For my bodyguard. I told you that there were several parts that I was up for that I didn't get. So believe it or not, mm-hmm. I was one of the last people up for the role of the bodyguard. And my bodyguard, I was like a brooding, it would have been a different choice because I didn't have the physical presence that, Adam had who got the part. But mm-hmm. when I read for the guy, he liked me. He goes, "I'm going to send this, your audition to my friend." So Robert Downey Sr. had agent, but then he got to see a second version of me reading the scene from The Bodyguard, and I ended up getting the part from that.
Wow. And were you a big Mad Magazine guy growing up?
Oh, yeah, who wasn't? Mad Magazine was great. You know, my kids will never know what it was, but Mad Magazine was just funny, you know, and they had all these parodies every month of, you know, each issue had a parody of a movie or a TV show, and a lot of goofy, silly stuff, and used to read it all the time. I thought Mad Magazine was great. It was funny, and I was a big fan of the Bob Newhart show, and the one where he's a psychologist in Chicago, and the two guys that wrote up the Academy, they were the guys that created and wrote the Bob Newhart show. So I thought, man, Mad Magazine, and you know, these two guys, Tarsem Patchett from Bob Newhart show, this is going to be a hit movie, but, you know, they wrote like a half-hour plot in a 95-minute movie.
Yeah.
I'll still run into people that tell me how much they love that movie growing up, but not so much.
Yeah. To me...
go ahead.
I was going to say, to me, you were the best part of that whole movie.
Go on.
I really did think so, man. You brought so much personality to that character, and you're just freaking laugh out loud hilarious.
You're a silly boy. What are you on right now?
No.
So Ralphie Macchio, who is in the movie, it's his first movie. It's Robert Downey Jr.'s first movie. He doesn't even speak in it.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of, like, you know, bigger stars that are in the movie. Ron Liebman, who we just lost. Who I enjoyed being with very much, but he was in it, and he had the lead, Barbara Bach. She's spectacular, and she was in, like, The Guns of Navarone, and she's married to Ringo Starr. She was in it, and Antonio Fargas from Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch was in it. Tom Poston was on the Newhart show. A lot of people, Leonard Fry, and all those other people. So Ralphie sees a review in New York, and he calls me up, and he goes, I don't think this is good. I go, what? He goes, I just thought I got reviewed in New York on TV, and you know that scene where you fire off the rocket? I go, yeah. He goes, well, they show the building blowing up, and it comes back to the critic, and he goes, Miss, you was aiming for the writers.
That's a good one. Oh, man. Yes, Stacey Nelkin told me there was a lot of cocaine and partying.
Nelkin. Oh, God, she was a wonderful young lady.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved talking to her. She's a lot of fun. She's amazing. She told me there was a lot of cocaine and partying on this movie.
Oh, there was a lot, and you know, I had never seen it. Somebody handed me. I was upset one night, and somebody handed me a joint. Like, what am I going to do with that? You know, you know, it was you know, a very you know, I know Robert Downey Sr. is on record as saying that he was buzzed once in a while. You know, I did not see Robert Downey Jr. doing any drugs. He was smoking cigarettes. He was making friends with the girls, but I didn't see him doing anything like that. He was very friendly. You know, I enjoyed my 2.5 months with him.
Yeah, I know that Ron Liebman, you know, he wanted his name removed from the credits because he was embarrassed by the movie.
He took it off. So they were good. I found out that it was between him and Bill Murray for the part. They decided,
really?
I don't know, Bill Murray decided to go with something else. I think that's what happened. But Liebman ended up having his name taken off the credits. Yes, true.
Oh.
It's not a great sign, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't see that with Forrest Gump or Castaway or anything like that. You know, you wouldn't, you know, have like the second biggest actor in the movie get the top billing. But that's what happened with the Academy.
Yeah, I found Tom Cetera on Facebook. I reached out to him a couple times, never heard back.
What is Tom Cetera doing that's so, you know, important? He doesn't have time for you. That's kind of silly.
I don't know. It didn't say on there what he was doing or anything, but I didn't hear back from him. Whatever happened to Wendell Brown?
I really don't know. Hutch Parker, who plays the romantic lead, he plays Oliver in the movie of the Academy. I can't believe we're talking about the Academy. Hutch, his brother is Parker Stevenson, one of the Hardy Boys.
Right.
And Hutch ended up becoming a big-time, Hollywood producer, running a studio and making movies. And, he was a great guy and very classy guy. And when we went to do looping, which, of course, Tommy, I don't know if the listeners are all aware of it, but looping is where you go, months later and you there's a scene that was filmed outdoors. The sound quality might not be great. So you go into a studio and you say your lines, you match it up to your mouth, and now the sound quality is so much better. So I went for looping, and this was, I'll never forget, it was the weekend that America beat Russia in Lake Placid. Do you believe in miracles weekend?
Yeah.
And Hutch said, hey, let's go to dinner. I said, do I need fancy clothes? He goes, no, we're just going to go with my brother and my mom. And we went to his brother's house, and his brother had this gorgeous, huge, giant TV. It was one of the first ones I ever saw. And Hutch goes, Parker, tell him how you got that TV. And his movie poster of the Hardy Boys is shown for a brief second in the movie Hardcore with George C. Scott. And George C. Scott's looking for clues to a girl who's run away, and he's in her room, and as he closes the bathroom door, you briefly see in the mirror the reflection of his poster. So he and his agent both settled on getting these giant, big screen TVs before there were big screen TVs. So he said, we're going to Clason's for dinner, which is this really fancy restaurant in Los Angeles that it's not there anymore. But I said, well, I don't have anything, and he goes, well, borrow one of my coats. So he's a Hollywood lead, and he's got these coats that were made for 12-year-olds, and he goes, just take my overcoat. So we went to Cason's, and I'm sitting there in an overcoat with Hutch, Parker Stevenson, and his mom, and I went to the bathroom, and Willie Shoemaker is in there, the great jockey Willie Shoemaker.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, look at him. He's at the urinal, and he's like, hey, you effing actors, And he walks out, hey, Willie Shoemaker thinks I'm an actor. Cool.
Man. Oh, man. Did you improvise that goat laugh that Rodney does?
I improvised it once, and when we went out to do the looping, Robert Downey Sr. asked me what that was, because, he saw my mouth moving and there was nothing there at the end. I laughed once. I go, that's what that laugh is. So he goes, let me hear it. He goes, oh, I love it. And I ended up laid down 30 different versions of it for him. Mm-hmm. And he used it to, that laugh is in the movie more than I am. It's kind of goofy, it's kind of silly, but it's in there.
Yeah, it's one of the most memorable things about Rodney,
Rodney, the laugh was in there. We got to make a movie with. None of us had ever been on a movie set before. I think Hutch had been on a movie set, and Junior had been on a movie set, and the rest of us hadn't. And so we just saw all these big time, Hollywood, stars that we knew, and the camera crew was fantastic, and the guys, the editor had done The Jerk with Steve Martin. They gave me his jacket from that. I had a windbreaker I wore for 3 years. It said The Jerk with Steve Martin's picture on it, and all these different people. We thought that this movie was going to be great, and the soundtrack. We saw the soundtrack, and it's Blondie and Pat Benatar,
Cheap Trick. Yeah. Cheap Trick, Eddie and the Hot Rods, Nick Lowe. Right. I mean, great
Nick
soundtrack.
Lowe's on there, right? The Abominable Snowman, Jonathan Richman, and the Modern Lovers.
Yeah.
We just thought, oh, this is going to be, big success. And then, it came out, and it came out right after. It was
The Hollywood Nights.
Not yet. No, it was something else that had just been out. It might have been a Bill Murray movie.
Caddyshack, maybe?
Maybe it was Caddyshack. That's exactly what it was. That's why Bill Murray didn't do Up the Academy, because he was doing Caddyshack. Duh.
Yeah.
So it came out like right after Caddyshack, and people had a choice of seeing Caddyshack or Up the Academy. So they went with the movie that was going to be like a standard, a comic standard for years. It's wonderfully written and acted, and everything about Up the Academy was pretty good, but a lot of it was not. But the Caddyshack's a classic, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll blame it on Caddyshack being so good. That's the reason why Up the Academy wasn't great. One day on the radio show, they informed me that the movie was like 20,000 on the DVD list when people used to buy DVDs of movies.
Yeah.
And so I bought like 10 copies, and it went from 20,000 to 10,000 in like 3 minutes.
Wow.
Right.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, but I think if you went on eBay, you could probably still get posters. I had a poster of Up the Academy, and I don't know whatever happened to it, but it was every kid should get to turn 19 on the set of a movie that they are participating in. It was just really cool.
I have an old Warner Brothers clamshell VHS of Up the Academy.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's got to be worth at least $6.
Yeah. It's pretty roughed up, I have to say. But yeah, I have it. I watch it frequently and stuff.
Oh my God, I apologize.
There's many lines that you have in this movie I still quote to this day.
Tommy, maybe the first step is admitting that, hey, I have a problem.
Well, I mean, there's lines like, he's not my kind of strange. I mean, that's a great line, Or how does an Arab run out of gas?
That's it. That is one of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
How does an Arab run out of gas?
Or the one that you can't get away with nowadays. Slap my hand, black soul man.
Yes, that was. They wanted us to improvise. I lifted that directly from Dan Aykroyd, Saturday Night Live. I'd love to say I was that clever, but it's just like an homage to the Czechoslovakian brothers that Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd used to do.
Yeah, the Wild and Crazy Guys.
Exactly. That's his boy. Two Steve Martin mentions in this interview. Pretty good.
Yeah, and the fact that that Ike's stepmother is named Nubia, that couldn't be done today either.
No, and she was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like nowadays, you hit IMDb and you see all the things these people have been in. But the actor who plays the old commandant, his name was Ian Wolfe, and he was very old on the set of this movie. Right. And I'm a big fan of the of the old TV show The Fugitive with David Jansen, and I saw him on there playing like the old doctor, and then I saw him on Star Trek. I love Star Trek, and he was on there playing like the the librarian, it's like, oh my God, this guy has been playing the old man for like 15 years in Hollywood. So I wish I could have had Leonard Fry, who I mentioned, who played the commandant's assistant. He was model the tailor in Fiddler on the Roof, the musical, which is like Topol was the star of it, and
right.
Just incredibly talented. And I spent 2.5 months with him, not realizing that was him earlier in the decade. I wish that I had the ability, and people didn't walk around with their resumes. But it was, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And it was funny because I'd gone, like I said, to the University of Kansas freshman year. I left school to be an actor, got an apartment with my best friend in Los Angeles, and over the summer, auditioned for the part. And like a month before we were moving out there, I got the part, and it took me back to Kansas. So, what are the odds of that? Out of the 58 states or whatever we have, I was in Lawrence, Kansas for a year at college, and I was in Salina, Kansas, filming the movie.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, and also, too, Ian Wolfe was a World War I veteran.
See, you got access to things. I wish I had that. World War I?
Yeah.
Jesus. I told you the guy was old.
Yeah. He was like George Burns' age at that time.
Right. Yeah, and he could have been nicer, and he could have been more gracious. It was, it's just a really cool experience. And then, and what happened in Chicago was that I would go in and audition for roles that had like, 2 or 3 lines, like the neighbor or the bartender or the reporter.
Yeah.
And you're going up against, 20 of like the great actors that are in Chicago working, or, from Second City, or from, Improv Olympics, or, one of these other heroes like Steppenwolf, or, Goodman, or Northlight. And, and you're, if you get the part, your friends that aren't in the business go, whoa, you got that 3-line part in the movie. Are you going to be up for Best Supporting Actor? But your friends that are in the business, they're like, hey, man, it's great you got that. So it was just weird. And, if I hadn't, if I had moved out there, who knows what would have happened. But, probably dead. But, staying here, it led me into radio. And, of course, I wouldn't have ever met my wife or had my kids. So, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely, yeah. But with Risky Business, though, how was the experience overall?
Well, like I said, I thought I was getting a much bigger part. I had the script, I had the post memorized, and then I get a call, like on the Friday night. We were filming a movie Monday, and I got the call Friday night, and it took me a second to realize what was going on. And so this guy, this prominent actor, what they wanted was, leave the play he was in. And so instead of being, this great part, I've got, 3 lines. And I was on the set for 8 days to do 3 lines. And, a lot of people would love that because you keep getting paid. But, I was ready to, go the first day. I got to, because I was in the union, the Screen Actors Guild, I had to have my own dressing room. I was in an area with the 3 guys from the band and the 12 young ladies who were playing the prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got to hang with all the beautiful girls and, cool guys. And I hung with Tom Cruise. Ralphie had just made a movie, The Outsiders, with Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom came looking for me first day on the set. And I turned him on to Springsteen. He was in a Springsteen. I gave him a couple of bootlegs he had never heard. And he was great. And Rebecca De Mornay, let's see, what rhymes with switch?
Mm-hmm.
I heard her say to him, I was in his dressing room, and she goes, why are you in there with him? He's a day player. Okay. Welcome to Hollywood,
Yeah.
But, I enjoyed I enjoy, being on a movie set. I wish it would go, quicker. It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
I made The Package. I have a couple lines in a movie called The Package with Gene Hackman and Tommy Lee Jones.
I remember that movie.
I consider Gene Hackman one of the great actors of our time, and he was really into his craft, and he was really cool. And Tommy Lee Jones was talking about how he played in football in the Ivy League, and he was talking about how the Ivy League had the best college football in the country. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You're Tommy Lee Jones, and you've got the ability to say anything you want about acting, but you're telling me that the Ivy League, the football players in there, they might be a lot smarter, but you tell me if they're better than the players that are in the SEC or the Big Ten or the Pac-10. What the hell are you talking about, Tommy Lee?
Do you remember Sarah Partridge, who played Kessler in Risky Business?
Sarah Partridge, who played Kessler. Did you marry her?
No, I interviewed her. She's one of Tom Cruise's circle of friends. She's like the only girl in the group.
Nice. Well, I've never seen the movie Risky Business.
Oh, okay. I don't blame you because of that experience, but it's a great movie, though. But
I've heard it's great.
But she's a great lady. She's a musician now. She was a Chicago actress back in those days.
Nice. Well, Chicago's, got top flight acting. It's top flight acting, directing, writers, musicians. There's a lot of people that come to Chicago and they go out to LA and they want to make enough money that they can come back and live in Chicago. And I'm sure you found that to be true in the people that you've visited with.
Oh yeah, I mean I've talked to people who were like local actors in Hollywood movies that were shot in their hometown, and that after the movie was made, they tried to get to Hollywood, or they did, and then just nothing happened for them, and it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sad.
Chicago's got a long list of people that have come out of here and done great and are doing great, and we could sit down and we'd think of 50 off the top of our head, and we'd be forgetting 200.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what year did you start doing stand-up?
Oh, God. Stand-up, I think, 86, I started doing stand-up, and there was a big boom,
Yep.
We went from having one of the oldest clubs in the country, Zanies, which is a comedy club legend, Zanies. And we went from having one Zanies to having four of them and having all these other clubs. There were four major rooms downtown. Pardon me. There was an improv here, which I loved. There was a Catch a Rising Star.
Yeah.
There was a club called the Funny Farm.
Oh yeah.
And Zanies. There were four clubs downtown and a bunch of clubs in the area. So, when I was doing stand-up, I was lucky because a lot of comics where they lived, they would be traveling every week. And I could do, we had four downtown clubs, and then we had, about 8 good rooms in the burbs. So I could work, almost half the year, in town without having to, travel. But then when you travel, usually you would drive. If you're going with Miami, you fly, or Atlanta, you fly. But Cleveland, which is not really close, you'd want to have your car because the last show Sunday night gets done at 10 o'clock. And if you wait for the 6 a.m. flight, you're going to be, half asleep. You get home at 9. And I would just get, not have anything to drink the last night. And I would get in the car at 10 o'clock and be home by 4 or something like that.
Yeah, did you?
The staff was great. I met a lot of cool people, and I wish I had spent more time working on my craft instead of working on the waitresses.
Yeah, I know. I did that myself when I started in the Bay Area. I've been taking a break the last 2 years from doing stand-up because I moved to the countryside where there's no comedy. But I'm planning on getting to LA hopefully by next year and start there again. But did you know Larry? Did you?
I love San Francisco, and I've been there for a while. But I was just talking to my buddy Nick Friedel, who's the NBA, ESPN basketball guy, who was covering the Warriors till Steph got hurt, till the league stopped. But San Francisco is just one of the most beautiful, wonderful, eclectic cities. And it's got Ghirardelli Square and the Wharf and Nob Hill and what am I telling you for Alcatraz?
Yeah, everything.
It's just I love San Francisco. He told me from where he lives that he can see the glove in Pac-Bell Park. I asked if he could see Barry Bonds' head. He said he used to be able to when he was playing.
Yeah. So in Chicago stand-up, did you know Larry Reeb?
Oh, yeah. Larry's like the godfather of Chicago stand-up.
Yes, he is. I agree. I've had him on the show. He's a great guy. I talked to him just a month after his wife had passed of cancer, and I think I made him feel good for a little while that we were talking. And
he just, I mean, like I said, it's in Chicago. You talk about who the comics are in Chicago, and even though there are these major movie stars and stuff that came from Chicago, stand up, working the clubs, in and out, night after night, getting people to laugh and not stop laughing. Larry Reeb, Uncle Lair. You start with him, and he was he's synonymous with Zany. Just really funny. And Tommy, I don't know if you guys did anything this when you were doing stand up all the time, but we used to play softball every Sunday.
No.
With all the comics, and it was a blast. And Larry would play in that. And then I was also in a fantasy baseball league with just comics. You never saw comics be so serious in all your life.
Yeah.
The day of the draft, they were serious. everybody was serious. The waitress was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. You guys are gonna be laughing. They make me laugh so hard." And everybody was like, "I take Red Langford." Oh, yeah, so you guys aren't being funny. Shut up. Bring us some drinks and just leave us alone. We have to pick the best baseball team in the world right now.
Well, no, in my generation of comedians, there's no camaraderie like you guys had. It is just every man for himself, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of crap we have to go through.
See, I can get that anytime I go visit my dad's wife, so I don't really need that occupation.
That's a good one.
But I always figured, these competitions and these auditions, that, I would, tell my friends, "Hey, are you doing this Johnny Walker competition?" And I'd ask, "You doing this Johnny Walker competition?" And I felt like if I were meant to win it, I was going to win it. And if I couldn't win it, I'd want one of my friends to win it. So, even now, that's still, there was a job, a good TV sports job, and I suggested it to a friend, and he got farther than I did on it. But it was, it's just, what you do. It's the pay it forward. Good karma comes back. They're my friends,
Mm-hmm. Did you know Drew Carey?
No, I just saw him once in Cleveland. I love the Cleveland Improv, and one night he walked in and did a set. It's the only time I ever saw him.
Ah. Did your comedy ever end up on TV?
Yes, I was on. I did 2 Evening at the Improvs, and then I was on a VH1 show called Stand Up
Spotlight with Rosie. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was fun. My first Evening at the Improv set was dynamite. Everything I said just killed. And then the second one, someone dared me to do new material. That's like an idiot. I did it, and it wasn't as well received as the first set.
Well, I hope they upload them on YouTube eventually, because I was trying to look for some old stand-up of you and I couldn't find it.
Well, the first when the kid from Brooklyn Bridge is the guest MC. It's a very good set,
mm-hmm.
And the second one was Harry Shearer brought me up and didn't understand the joke. He goes, "How do you want me to bring you up?" And I go, "Just say this, and he's the second funniest Harry in the room."
Yeah.
And he didn't get that. I was complimenting him. He goes, "Why don't you say you're the funniest Harry?" Yeah. Never mind. Never mind.
I've heard from people he's a very complex guy.
Yeah, well, nothing against him, but just who knows? I'm the only one responsible for that set not being as wonderful as the first one.
Yeah. So how did you get into sports talk radio?
Sports talk radio, when it started, I thought it was going to be like an update. I thought it was going to be like a 24-hour update that you would just flip on the station and it would say, "Oh, last night the Golden State Warriors defeated the Portland Trailblazers 112-98.
Yeah.
Steph Curry had 23 points, Draymond Green had 20. And then I heard what it was. There was all these sports writers, sportscasters, ex-jocks trying to be funny. And, I just thought, boy, I could suck as much as they do, but I'd be much more entertaining. And, I went to the 2 sports radio stations that had started in town, and one of them, the guy never called me back. The other one said, "I'll give you, 4 Saturday nights, and we'll see how you do." And after the first Saturday night show, we said, "You can do Saturdays as long as you like." And then eventually I got to fill in for people, and then I got my own show, and I was with one of my best friends who was also a comic, Spike Manton, and we did Hearing the Spike, and then I was on with Bonaducci for a long time, which was a blast, and it led to ESPN came to town, and I got asked to be on a show there, and the show was extremely popular, and it's without any background in radio, I was able to do 20 straight years of working Monday through Friday on a major show in Chicago, and these last 5 years are just doing weekends, but as we speak, I'm waiting for a phone call from a guy, so hopefully that'll go well. But sports radio, I'm surprised there aren't more comics, Tommy, that are into it because of all the time we spend, away from our craft, of all the time that we're not on stage. Most of it is spent, talking or watching sports.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So you're a lifelong sports fan?
So a big sports fan, and had Cubs season ticket. I've had it's like my 36 year. If they play, my family's had them. This will be like a 36 years having Cubs tickets, and I got to the Jordan special was on last night, The Last Dance on ESPN. We had season tickets for Bulls while Michael was there, and we actually kept them for a year after he left, and thought this is the dumbest way to spend money ever. Is to pay the Bulls after Michael's gone. But the Bulls led the league in attendance the year after Jordan left because all the people that couldn't, get a ticket or didn't want to pay double the price to see Michael, now they could just buy a regularly priced ticket and be at the Mecca, be at the, United Center, the stadium where Jordan played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, I love the Blackhawks and the Bears, and I'm one of the few people that likes both the Cubs and the White Sox. Usually, you have to pick. I know, in LA, you have to pick Dodgers or Angels. In San Francisco, you got to pick A's or Giants. So yeah, I grew up. My mom was a diehard Cubs fan. My dad was a diehard Sox fan, and they both sucked.
Yeah.
No one ever gave me a hard time for liking both teams. And all these young guys at the radio station are like, you got to pick one. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm bisexual.
Yeah, that's a good one, bisexual. Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad, he never put pressure on me to be an athlete because, him and my uncles, him and my uncles they were all football, baseball guys growing up, into Pop Warner and Little League and all that stuff in high school and stuff. And then, I played football in high school. I wrestled. I did track. I did it to get girls, basically.
Yeah.
And to get in shape, too, because I was a fat kid and everything. And one of those worked. But yeah, it's funny. Now that I'm older, I'm getting into sports a little bit more than I did when I was younger, and I've come to the conclusion that sports just seemed more authentic, like when I was growing up, than it does now. I mean, look at these insane salaries athletes are getting now, and it seems like that sports is just a business instead of a pastime.
It's crazy that guys that never play make seven figures, but more power to them. I'm a number freak. People always say that I'm the Michael Jordan of jersey numbers. I remember, you could name a guy who played 40 years ago. There's a very good chance I'll remember his number. And, that could be like any sport, any team, any city, just because I loved sports that much and I was that into it, So, you grew up you grow up in San Francisco, Tommy?
Yeah.
You were living. So, I mean, you could throw at me, not only all the, Dwight Clark's 87s and, Tom Rathman 44 and, Kenya Turner 58, but Bruce Gossett 30, John Brody 12, Ken Willard 40. I know all these numbers, going back, and I think the reason for that is because before free agency, guys spent their entire careers on one team.
Right.
And so Billy Williams was number 26 on the Cubs forever, and at the end he went to the A's. But I know all these jersey numbers because guys never change teams. If I were a kid now, I'd be afraid to buy my favorite player's jersey because with the exception of the Tom Brady's out there, guys usually spend 2 years with one team and they're gone on to another team somewhere.
Yeah, I know, and we had Brian Wilson in the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and then just abruptly he retired like that.
Yeah, it was too bad. Well, I used to play Little League and dream of being on the Cubs or on the White Sox, and I was so good in Little League they made up rules for me. Every kid has to play at least 2 innings. That was my rule. And I remember one time the coach said, "All right, Harry, get out there, play right field." And I looked at him and said, "But coach, my foot will get cold." So maybe I didn't have the commitment that you did when you were a younger athlete.
I mean, I wasn't that good, but I eventually, got in shape, and I had fun with what I did. I wish I could run again. I had a car accident about 5 years ago, and I have metal in my leg, so I can't run anymore. But
how long does it take you to go through the metal detectors at the airport?
well, you have to tell them that you have metal in your leg, and then they give you special treatment, and they give you your own wheelchair and stuff.
Nice. Do you also have to declare like the drugs that you have on you? Yeah, I've got some party favors in my sock.
I keep my drugs at home.
There you go.
So yeah, you mentioned before that you're a big Bruce Springsteen fan. My dad went to high school with his sister Pam.
Shut up.
No.
Come on, that's so cool. To me, that's so cool. So for people that haven't seen Bruce Springsteen, it is, I've heard him described so many different ways, but, somebody from Rolling Stone once said, when you go see a Bruce Springsteen concert, you leave the show with 20,000 of your closest friends.
Yeah.
That's what he does. And, as a performer, Tommy, you have to appreciate the fact that when the man plays a rock and roll song, it feels like the roof's going to cave in. And then he stops and he tells the story, and you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And every time I see Bruce, I get on this creative binge afterwards, where I'm like writing and I've got all these ideas going through your head. That's what Bruce does for me. He reminds me that I'm capable of doing anything, and his creativity makes me creative, and I've seen him 40 times.
Wow.
You'd think it is a lot, but like my friend Chocolate Rich has seen him 156 times.
Wow.
So and he flies to see him. I flew to see him once in New York. I went there in 48 hours. I saw Bruce twice at the Garden. I saw Letterman, and I saw a White Sox Yankees game.
Oh.
And that was my 48-hour trip to New York, and it was really cool. But yeah, Springsteen is. I mean, I love music and I love lyrics, and Bruce captures all that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I almost saw him in, I think it was 2012 or 13. He came to the Bay Area. I was going to go see him, and then I ended up not doing it. But it is on the list. I'm eventually going to go see him before he retires.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it. I've been listening to interviews.
Well, once he retires, you could just go to his house, and he'll be like eating a sandwich. You'd go, hey, come on, play Thunder Road. Play Thunder Road. Put your sandwich down. Put the chicken salad down. Play Thunder Road.
Yeah, you met my dad once in 1976.
Do it for Dad.
Yeah, do it for Dad. Yeah, it's funny. I've been listening to interviews that John Van Zant does, and he said, he left the E Street Band because Bruce was very self-loathing. You know why he's very prolific, and he's been putting out all these songs that were never released, because he's a perfectionist. He's unhappy in the studio. He never knows what sounds like a hit to him, what sounds good.
Right. And Stevie Van Zandt, who of course people know from The Sopranos, that guy is always hanging out with the boss. But Stevie Van Zandt always wanted like a 3-minute song, and Bruce likes, he's got a bunch of these great, hard rocking, 3 or 4 minute songs, but he's also got like these beautiful ballads that are 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And you see him in concert, and he's got like a 12-minute version of a song that's always been like 4 minutes, and you're like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing I ever saw. But yeah, when they did they talk about Born to Run, making the album Born to Run, which has 8 songs on it, and how many songs he wrote for that. And then they went to do Darkness on the Edge of Town, and they had 80 songs to choose from, because, all the songs they didn't use on Darkness, and it was just, he thought the weakest song on the album was Darkness on the Edge of Town, so that's why he named the album for it, to give it extra oomph. But Bruce is, his music is great, his lyrics are great, the way he connects with the crowd. And, when I saw him in Chicago last time, right after Glenn Frey died, and the next night Bruce played, Take It Easy.
Yeah.
He's been known when Prince died, he played Purple Rain. It looked like the band had rehearsed it for, 6 months, but they rehearsed it for like a couple of days. And,
my dad.
She would know very well Greetings from Asbury Park, but all these great artists did versions of Springsteen songs, and it made a couple of artists, like Manfred Mann's Earth Band. Bruce wrote Blinded by the Light. That was their big hit. And the Pointer Sisters, Fire, Bruce wrote that. He wrote Because the Night for, Patti Smith ended up making it a huge hit for her. And, he's just like this, I don't know, he's this positive driving force of rock and roll. It's great. And his Born in the USA tour, it was all about feeding the homeless, feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, feeding the hungry. People were encouraged to bring food. And, so not only is he on tour and all these people get to see Springsteen, but everybody brings like one can or one box of cereal that feeds so many people. So he always had a sense of, doing what was right, for people, before like it became like, cool. And Lady Gaga just put this thing together on Saturday night. It was a great thing. It made so much money for, victims of COVID-19. And, Bruce had, so more power to Lady Gaga and all the artists that participated. But, Bruce has been doing stuff like that forever.
Yeah. Pam, she's 11 years younger than Bruce. And after Bruce left high school, the family moved out to California because his dad got a job out there. And they lived next door to Tom Hanks's family in Concord for a while. And then when Bruce hit it big with Born to Run, he bought them a house in San Mateo where we lived, where my dad lived at that time. And she went to San Mateo High School with him. They partied. And my dad got to go over to the house, meet the family, got to meet Bruce one time. And
that's so cool.
I reached out to Pam about 2 years ago and stuff, and I mentioned that I was Tommy Kovac Jr. and she's like, "Oh, tell your dad I said hi. It's been so long. He was the nicest guy that I knew when I was in San Mateo." And I just thought that was the nicest thing.
How about that, Tommy?
Yeah, I thought that was the nicest thing anyone could say.
That's just great. It's family is, a lot of people are complaining about being stuck at home with their family, but,
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than family, and that's got to be a great compliment that all the people she's met, and she remembered her dad and just had raved about him.
Yeah. And, she was an actress in Hollywood for a little while, and then she became a headshot photographer over there, and that's what she's been focused on. People want her to do conventions, because she was in the Sleepaway Camp sequels, and, do podcast interviews. She doesn't want to do that stuff. But
good for her, yeah. No, she's her own person. Good for her. It's got to be, does she go by Springsteen?
Yeah, she still goes by Springsteen.
So I would imagine she's gets asked to do a bunch of stuff, but good for her that she's not doing it.
Yeah. What are your personal favorite Springsteen songs?
The next one I hear will be my favorite song.
But the classics.
So great. I mean, Backstreet is awesome. Jungle Land is awesome. Sherry Darling, I'm a Rocker.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song Sandy off his second album, The Wild, the Innocent, and U Street Shuffle. By a guy who's chased the same girl, for a long time. You can find I like certain Springsteen songs because like of one or two lines from the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's great. Drive All Night is like this really epic, slow moving heart and soul song. That's on the River, which of course is a 2-album set. So there's a ton of stuff that's on the River, but I'm Going Down, which is great song off of Born in the USA.
Right.
My wife used to sing it till the kids came.
That's good.
But you can't go wrong. I used to, the first couple times I saw Bruce, I'm like, oh, he played Adam Raised a Cain. I wish he hadn't played Adam Raised a Cain. Then next, I heard him play it again. I was like, oh God, what a great song! What a great song! It's hard to go. This song sucks with Bruce.
Yeah.
And and I love the Stones, and then like my other guy that I listen to all the time is James Taylor.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't be further away from Bruce, but he's so passionate about his art, and like for every time that I watched a game or got buzzed, James Taylor was playing guitar. And again, there's a guy that is a wonderful lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you don't leave his show like ready to write the next great screenplay, but you leave his show thinking, man, everything's right in the world. James Taylor just performed, it's cool. My radio partners used to make fun of me that I like James Taylor because he was like a tough guy. Like, I go like, I was going to the show. I go, I guarantee you, the show is going to be packed with like football players and CEOs and guys that are funny tough. Love James Taylor. Well, there won't be any football players there. I mean, you guys are morons. And of course, there were, because artists like that, epic artists, they attract everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my personal favorite Springsteen songs are The River, Dancing in the Dark, which I heard he did as an encore that night that I didn't go, and I was so disappointed. Pink Cadillac.
Pink Cadillac, very fun song.
It's a rarity. Yeah, I love that one. Oh God, what's that one called? Oh, 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Sure, the song about how he put the band together.
They did that. They did that at the Super Bowl 10 years ago, right, or whatever it was. Yeah. Yeah. I love Blinded by the Light. Of course, I love Manfred Mann's version more.
You're a nut job. And Manfred Mann's version is good. Bruce talks about the first time he heard their version. He wrote about a car, wrecked up like a deuce, and they're saying wrecked up like a douche. He's like, oh man, I can't believe they're saying that.
Yeah, I say that when I sing it in karaoke.
Oh, Tommy, I'd like to. You got to put that up on your YouTube channel. I got to see that.
Someday. It's been a while since I sing karaoke, but next time I do it, yeah, I'm definitely going to put it up, and I'll send it to you.
Please do.
Yeah.
Do you remember the longtime Cubs announcer Harry Carey?
Yes.
He was like the reason why so many people loved the Cubs is because they were on during the day on WGN, the Superstation, and before there was the ability to show all these games, MLB Network, and you could see all these teams now. But back then, the only teams you could see like every game were the Braves and the Cubs, and the Braves played at night, the Cubs played during the day. And Harry Carey, he loved beer, and he had these giant, Coke bottle glasses, and he'd sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he always talked like this. And when a player, came from another country, he would always say their name backwards. We used to do Harry karaoke. we would do karaoke, and we'd have to sing it as Harry Carey. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know who did the best Harry Carey impression was John Caponera.
John Caponera does a great Harry Carey. I thought you were going to say Will Ferrell. I'm glad you went Caponera instead.
Oh, I did.
Chicago guy, by the way, John Caponera.
Yes, he is. I didn't even know that Will Ferrell did Harry Carey.
Oh yeah, he did. He's done it on SNL, and he's done it a bunch of different places as well.
Huh, I didn't know that. Yeah, wow, that's awesome. So during this time of quarantine, I mean, are you doing anything that's sports related? That you can do.
Well, yeah, man. It's last night, The Last Dance, the Jordan special was like the first real actual sports thing I felt that I got to be a part of, and then the NFL draft is this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. But the Cubs have started they're about to start their new network, and I hope to be doing stuff with them. We've been put on hold, so it's like there's a lot of reasons why. First of all, I want this disease to go away because too many people are dying for no reason. And my mom is in an assisted living facility, and it's like you read about these stories like the anonymous phone call and the tip of 17 bodies hidden in a room in New Jersey assisted living facility. But there might not be live games on the air right now that I can watch, but but I'm still texting my friends when I read about I've got a wise guy friend from, Long Island, and, Noah Syndergaard needed surgery, and so I texted him making fun of that. And, the guy who loves the Cowboys, I'm texting him these, memes. This has been, the only thing good about this time has been there's been some hysterical memes. Mm-hmm. They had one of, like, the Dallas Cowboys and the Lombardi Super Bowl trophy far away. Dallas keeping social distance,
Yeah.
Sent him that. So, it's about really all that he can do. I've been writing, trying to write, and, I've got a play that I have written, and my buddy is now, like, touching up, and I've written a children's book, and, I'm trying to be creative and doing something positive during these times, and it's just, it's just so different.
I know it is. My God. And, when I made the announcement earlier this month that because baseball season is canceled, I got one of the players from the Bad News Bears coming on the podcast, and a lot of people responded. I had
Wait, who'd you have?
David Pollock, who played Rudy Stein.
Oh, Rudy, yeah. He's the guy that, kept score, and he leaned into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great get.
Yeah, he had some great stories about making all three of them and stuff. He was a nice guy. He had some great anecdotes, And so I was like, yeah, that's my baseball season guest. I tried to get some other baseball movie people on. I tried to get the kid from Rookie of the Year, and I never heard back from him. I tried to get a girl from A League of Their Own, but there's still hope,
But there's still hope. You should. I should give you my friend Bill Left's information. Bill, aside from being a major radio personality in Chicago and a very funny comedian, mm-hmm. He's in Major League. He's one of the guys in the sitting in the stands, and like every time the Indians gives up a home run, he's like, no way, too high.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I'm feeling the kind of guest that you're looking for, Bill will be right up your alley.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, my mom, she went to elementary, middle, and high school with Dennis Haysbert, who plays Pedro Serrano in Major League.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Dennis Haysbert, who's 24.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody that they went to school with is shocked that he's made it this far. I mean, they knew it back then, but they, the business is a crapshoot.
Oh yeah.
And so, once they started seeing him regularly, both on that show and on the Allstate commercials, that's where, like, wow, I went to school with a star.
Yeah, and then he became the Allstate guy, which, for a while,
yeah.
For a while, I'm sure he thought, well, I mean, I'm doing other, projects. I don't want to be known as the Allstate guy, but the Allstate guy pays well. And he did another show about like some kind of like Army SWAT team. I can't think of the name right now, Dennis Haysbert, but it was really good. And after being the president in 2040, he did that show. And then I really haven't seen him doing a bunch of other stuff besides the Allstate commercials. And now they've got the guy from Law & Order SVU who does a lot of those. I'm mm-hmm. Mayhem. I'm sure Dennis would like to do even more. I know I would as well want to do more Allstate commercials.
Yeah, it's funny. In 2012, I did a pilot by accident. I was hanging out at my local bowling alley, and they were shooting a pilot for some network that they didn't want to name, and they didn't want to name the pilot. I know it didn't get picked up. I got the email that it didn't get picked up, but the director directed William Shatner in all the Allstate commercials.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I wasn't allowed to talk to this director. I was only allowed to talk to the producer. And
what?
Yeah, and because he was a very busy guy, he had shots to think about, and all that crap, And I wish I had her card still, because it would come in handy now. That I'm trying to pursue the business more and stuff. But I got to be directed by the director of Allstate commercials with William Shatner.
that going for you.
Yeah. And I was singing karaoke, too. I was singing Meatloaf's "I Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do It."
Oh, man. Yeah, I love Meatloaf. I mean, I love Meatloaf. And, I've done a bunch of parody songs. You can go on YouTube and find several of them. I've got a bunch more. Usually they're sports related, but Meatloaf, like I would eat anything for lunch, but it must have fat. That would be a good parody to that song. But he's got this one song with Cher. They don't make enough Meatloaf and Cher videos anymore.
No. Does what's his face? Does Ozzy make an appearance in that song?
I don't believe he does, but he should.
Yeah, because he ate bat. Remember?
Right.
He ate bat. He ate dove. He bit a dove's head off on stage or something. That is just wrong.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Yeah, and then there's like a Wuhan joke to make here, but the timing probably isn't right.
He had to get rabies shots too.
Yeah, you don't bite bats' heads off in concert. Yeah, just nuts.
That is Alice Cooper. He accidentally. I'm trying to remember what he did. He threw a chicken out into the crowd, and he thought that it could fly because it's from the bird family. It just completely freaking just disintegrated into bones and wings.
Wow, is there any mashed potatoes?
No. This was like 1970 or something. They were doing a show up in Toronto with John Lennon, The Doors, and a bunch of other acts, and that was like the big highlight of the night that made the newspapers.
But Alice Cooper, they just replayed Jesus Christ Superstar, and I was playing to my son who's like 14 about Alice Cooper and the makeup and what he did and how crazy he was, how crazy he's been.
Yeah.
And there he is in Jesus Christ Superstar. And somebody told me that there's a great movie, it's on Netflix, I think, or somewhere, about the guy that was Alice Cooper's manager for a while. Here's another thing I'm going to bring up, not another title for.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a movie about Alice Cooper's manager, and he talks about it's like him telling Alice Cooper stories for 90 minutes.
Oh, Shep Gordon.
Yeah. What's the name of the movie?
Well, he did have something to do with Up the Academy. I know that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's actually thanked in the credits.
Well, thanks, blamed. There's such a fine line.
Yeah. But go ahead.
I don't know. Boy, but thank you for bringing back all the Up the Academy memories.
I do know that Shep Gordon produced the Wes Craven horror movie Shocker.
Nice.
I do know that, yes. And Shep Gordon's had an amazing career. He's got a book out, and I believe a documentary, and all that stuff.
Whoa.
But Harry, yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm so glad that you came on the show today, and we could talk not only about your career, but also classic rock, too. I love talking about classic rock.
Classic rock is great, and, if you haven't seen Springsteen, try to see him, and, I can't believe the guy is 70 years old, and he's still in better shape than, 90% of Americans, and, boy, it's just, whoever it is you like, I hope that we get concerts again, and
hope so.
You can listen. It's never been easier to listen to. You just touch your phone, and boy, you can listen to whoever you want to listen. But you can find a Springsteen concert from like 1978. Go to YouTube, find put in Bruce Springsteen concert 78, and sit back and enjoy. Although you won't be sitting very long.
But there's no better feeling than actually seeing the concert and being there.
Right.
But
I had a blast, Tommy. Thank you for having me, and I'll be better, next time. Sorry I let you down.
No, you've been just spectacular today, Harry.
Spectacular.
I'm very grateful, and thank you so much. And stay safe there with your family, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you, Tommy. You treated me great, which makes up for the wife. I will see you somewhere down the line.
Okay.
All right, be good.
I will. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Harry Teinowitz. Ain't he a cool dude? Oh my God, nice guy, humble guy, loves classic rock. Oh my God, that is awesome. Rodney Vervigart, the gas man, is fucking awesome. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.